I know what boys like. I know what boys want. Boys like, boys like, boys like Kirk. Get out of my house. Okay.
It's our party, we can do what we want to. It's our party, we can watch what we want to. It's our fandom, we can ship who we want to. It's my life, I can stalk who I want to. Say yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
For those that probably don't know who we are, I'm Ellen,
And I'm Emilee.
and
We're fangirls.
we're fangirls.
And we've decided to take on the original fangirl product, and that is the Star Trek, the original series.
Yep.
Never watched it before.
Nope.
Only thing I know about Star Trek are the memes and the 2009 movie, which we will eventually get into.
Yeah.
I can't talk about it now.
Nope. We are not there yet.
So we wanted to talk about the pilot, the
Yeah.
original pilot.
Yes, that was not
And then
aired.
the reshot pilot that ended up going to air.
It-
Because they are vastly different with
Yes.
vastly different characters.
Yeah, that threw me off like crazy, because the first pilot was like, it was pretty good, but NBC, for once, I actually agree with the executives on this one. It was just too slow for me.
It was very slow. It was about an hour and a half, which is fine for a pilot. I enjoy
Yeah.
very long starts, but for a show that you kind of have to build up, there was not a lot going on there.
I think by like maybe halfway through, it finally started like getting somewhere.
Do you want to tell them the plot of the pilot?
Yeah. So basically, it doesn't focus on Captain Kirk. He is nowhere to be seen.
He doesn't exist
So
yet.
that was fun for me.
The only character I think that was in the original was Spock. But
Yeah.
I don't even think they said his name, if I remember
No,
correctly.
but I mean, he's like
He had
not in the
lines,
episode that
But
much.
he's just more of a background character.
Yeah,
Still, I
pretty
believe
much.
second in command, but again, I don't think they ever name dropped him at all.
Yeah, they mostly focus on.
He didn't have his bangs. Leonard
He
Nimoy did
didn't.
not have his bangs.
He didn't. That's why.
That's why it
That's
didn't
why it
work.
didn't get picked up
It
at
didn't
first.
get picked up.
It wasn't gay enough, and there were no bangs.
I don't even think he had his eyeliner or his eyeshadow. He
you
had
might be
nothing.
right, he
Leonard, no
did-
wonder why.
Oh my god, that explains so much. No, but the episode focuses on a different character, Captain Christopher Pike,
Yes.
who was the like original.
He was the
captain.
original captain of the Enterprise, along with Spock, which is pretty canon, if I remember correctly, for upcoming
Yeah.
seasons. But they end up on a planet that is being run, I believe, by what they believe to be refugees.
Yes.
Of like scientists.
Yeah, like old male scientists and like one young female.
One young female that they said was born on the planet.
Yeah. So a little weird. Also, they're not like involved with her in any way.
No, they look at her like a daughter. Almost.
Which I'm like, okay, sure, Jan, but no, I believe it. But then you find out that it's actually these like alien creatures.
Yes, like it's all
like an
made
illusion.
up. It's all an illusion.
Yeah, and basically they can create any illusion that you like desire.
Yeah,
but it always seems to be the same woman, Viva. I believe her name is.
Viva.
So of course Pike is just like, why is it you though? Like literally,
like consistently following her. Like at one point it was like almost medieval, and she was a princess.
Yeah.
And then there was another time when they were on a picnic.
Yep.
At one point.
And they were like happily married and everything. And then there was another moment where he's like in this other like kind of like a fancy like little fantasy where she's like this green thing and just starts dancing seductively. I'm like,
very Poison Ivy.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what in the Poison Ivy is going on right now? It's just so much was happening. That's the thing with the episode. It was like nothing was happening,
but at the same time,
and then all of a
too
sudden,
much was happening.
so much was happening, and I'm like, we gotta work on the pacing a little bit. But you kind of find out that these aliens kind of can create these fantasies for you, but you have to kind of do what they want, which is basically mate, have children.
Yeah.
So, and my favorite part is when Viva's explaining this to Pike, and she says, they would never make you do what you don't want to do.
So the aliens were saying that, like, Viva was mentioning that they will never make you do something you don't want to do. However, they will punish you
If
if
you
you
don't do
what they want you to do.
Yeah, so
Which Captain Pike tries his best to like do as he's told, but like deep down he knows there's something going on.
exactly, because he's just like, not everybody wants this, you know?
Yeah, not everybody would like. He has his goals, and Viva's very pretty, but that's not his goal.
Exactly. He's like, I don't want this life. I'm sorry. So, of
Compared
course,
to the other pilot, the one that ended up getting shot.
yes.
Do you want to tell them about that plot?
Yeah, so while the original unaired pilot was called The Cage, this one's called The Man Trap, which you would think would just be the same thing,
Yeah,
but it's actually not. So we're introduced to the original characters of the show, like Captain.
So we finally get Captain Kirk. We're introduced to him.
Yeah.
We meet McCoy, Dr. McCoy. We re-meet again. We meet Spock.
Yes.
I believe Ahora's there and Scotty and Sulu. I believe those are the main main six that we see.
Yes.
I don't think they're name dropped if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I feel like you don't hear Spock's name until the episode after that, but I could be, but it's still Leonard Nimoy, so it's very clear who he's playing.
Yeah, pretty much. So basically, the Man Trap is where we're introduced to this woman who they all seem to know, but they see her
in different ways. McCoy, it was led to believe that McCoy had dated her in like his youth. So he sees her when the last time they met each other, when she was like in her early 20s.
Yeah.
And then I believe Kurt sees her at her proper age, which would be like in her late 30s, I want to guess.
Yeah.
And then there's I believe it's pronounced Ensign, who is basically just like a graduated cadet, one of the younger people, usually a red shirt, that follows him around and helps them. He sees her as a young woman, like almost like early 20s, late teens.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting because you don't realize it's the same woman until they continuously call her name.
Yeah, and then you're just like, oh, this is the same person that they're talking to.
This is the same person.
Cool.
So you see Nancy.
Yeah.
And of course she's married to this doctor, to the scientist, and they live on this one planet.
Yeah.
And they're noticing that there's also a creature on this planet that lives off of salt. And the planet is like full of salt.
Yeah.
But the salt is disappearing.
Yeah.
So they're wondering what's going on with that. And then Nancy is consistently wanting to like be alone with McCoy. But then you also see her alone with the Ensign, who ends up dying, by the way. They find him dead and they're very confused because nobody else was around, so they don't know what it could have been. And he has like these suction marks all over his face.
Yeah, a little weird.
And it was very strange. And they realize something's going on, so they take the doctor and they take Nancy back to the Enterprise to try to figure out what is happening. And slowly, more and more of the characters, like the lower level characters, keep dying of the same thing, where like almost like the salt is drained from their body and they are being like have the suctions all over their faces. And I believe it's Kirk that kind of puts two and two together and says something's not right here. And he ends up questioning the other doctor and being like, what's going on? And he explains that Nancy is not Nancy.
Yeah.
Nancy is, whoever's being Nancy is the last of her kind of this one creature that lives off of salt. I'm going to guess it's an alien. And they have the ability to take the form of their previous of like the person that they're taking over.
Yeah.
The person they suck off, more or less.
All right. Okay, where were we? Starfish! Get in the shot! Stop doing that!
No.
God damn it. All right. Okay, where did we leave off?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the plot of the televised pilot is that the main three who we will be following throughout the entire series, which is Dr. Leonard McCoy, Mr. Spock, and Captain Kirk. We are finally introduced to Captain Kirk in this.
Yeah.
And they go down to a planet that is inhabited by McCoy's former flame, named Nancy, and her husband. And they are studying this one specific planet that has a lot of salt on it. It's just a salt planet, more or less. And we notice as the audience is that everybody sees Nancy in a different way.
Yes.
McCoy sees her as the last time they saw each other, which was like 10 years prior, so like late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Spock and Kirk see her as just a regular woman, like her
like how
proper
she
age.
is. Yeah.
And then there's an I'm going to mispronounce this again, but ensign named Darnell, who sees her as a young, vivacious woman.
Yeah.
And eventually, the young, vivacious version of Nancy gets Darnell to follow her as she goes to find her husband. And the next thing you know, Darnell is dead.
Yeah.
But it's very confusing because Nancy was just there with McCoy, and they were just talking, they were reminiscing. So they were very confused on this, and because of that, they decide, hey, we're going to take the professor, we're going to take Nancy, we're going to bring them to the Enterprise until we figure out what exactly happened to Darnell, because it seems like all of the salts from his body were sucked out, and he has these lesions along his face, which is very, very odd.
Yeah.
So they bring them there. And 2 more ensigns end up dying.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere. But then one of them appears. It's like we, as the audience, see that he is dead, but then you see the character walking around, interacting. I believe he interacts with Yauman Janice at one point. He follows her around a bit because she is doing, like, I want to say, like, the lunch cart and bringing the food around, and she has, like, a thing full of salt.
Yeah.
That
which
the
is
character
weird.
is trying to get to.
Yeah.
And as you continue on through the episode, you realize that Nancy is not what she appears.
No.
And would you like to tell them what Nancy is?
Nancy is actually this like weird alien creature, the last of its kind on this like salt planet, and they need like salt to live. And her husband knows about this, so he basically.
Which I don't even mean to interrupt, but very sad, very, very sad, because like he clearly loves this woman to the point where the creature can take the form of whoever it kills.
Yeah.
And it ends up killing Nancy, taking her form, and he decides to keep the creature alive because he's still in the form of his wife. It's still Nancy to him. So he clearly loves her, and she has all the memories of the original Nancy.
Yeah, so therefore he figures it's better than nothing, I guess. So, so this creature has been just going after all these people to get the salt so it can keep on living. And eventually, Kirk finds out.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, hold on.
He finds out because, now she does not kill him, but she ends up having McCoy be sleeping, takes McCoy's form, and tries to, like, convince everybody that it's the doctor, so they kill the doctor, so the doctor would die.
Yeah.
They would end up killing the doctor, so that way they could continue on, and Nancy would just go off with McCoy on the Enterprise, or they would go back to the planet. Somehow, Kirk outsmarted the creature and was able to realize otherwise, and they end up, unfortunately, having to incapacitate and kill the creature.
Yeah.
But you get to see a lot more happen in this episode than you do the original.
Definitely.
Because the original only really followed Pike. You follow Pike, you follow Viva, and the little alien that was involved.
Yeah.
Spock was there, but they didn't really have much going on. Like, it's actually really interesting because we know, as people who know of the series, but Spock is not fully Vulcan. Spock is Vulcan, but he's also half human. So his biology is different. So the creature couldn't copy Spock.
That's right.
Though, like it originally wanted to. It couldn't figure out his biology. But they don't really explain that to you. That's one thing I noticed about Star Trek thus far, is that it does not spoon feed you anything the way TV shows do now. You kind of have to learn as you go and pay attention to like little offhanded comments for you to pick anything up compared to other TV shows where in the pilot they would have like flat out said like, he is half Vulcan, his mother is the human, his father is this. He does not feel emotion, except sometimes he does feel emotion, but he tries to hide it. Like, they don't tell you anything. You have to watch and learn.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't mind it.
No, not at all.
Because it doesn't come off as, like, super smart, where, like, you need to constantly be like, what the fuck is going on?
The way I had explained to Ellen what I thought the TV show was currently is that it feels like a scientific episode of The Twilight Zone, where everything is almost too smart for you to understand, but you, at the end, you are able to grasp it in the end.
Yeah, because the show does tackle like social issues at times
Yeah.
and just topics that we can relate to and or identify with. So
Yeah.
therefore we're able to kind of like take the sci-fi aspect of it, but it doesn't necessarily take over the whole story,
Yes.
which I think is why I'm enjoying it so far.
If you had been in the 70s, 60s, I'm sorry, it was 66 when this came out. You had been watching TV in 1966. If they played either of these pilots, would you have been drawn in?
I don't know. I definitely would have thought William Shatner was hot though.
Yes.
That 100.
That
I
we
might
will
have.
agree on. I am no better than a man. William Shatner is one of the most beautiful creatures I've ever noticed.
It's not. I hate how attractive he was. It's not fair.
Like, you can make fun of him all day. I am the captain of the USS Shit on William Shatner.
Yes,
But, oh my god, he is so pretty to
he
look
really
at.
is. He really is.
And I'm a Leonard Nimoy girly. Like, all day, every day, whatever you want, my guy. But, like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I get it.
I told Emilee, like, if I end up attracted to young William Shatner, I'm gonna end it all. And I think I might have to.
We're
end
on
it
that
all
train.
soon.
We're on that
We're
train
heading
track.
down that station. So, also, I do love how in the new pilot, the one that did get picked up, I do love that they introduced a slightly more diverse cast,
Yes.
which was very rare for the
very,
60s.
very rare.
You know, you have a character played by a black woman, you have Sulu played by an Asian man, and then you have Captain Kirk played by a twink. You know what I mean?
And then you have Captain Spock, who we will get into, but it's clearly meant to be a Jewish king, if you will. I feel like a lot of characteristics for the Vulcans are just stereotypes of Jewish American men, but we'll get to that when we get to the entire series.
That's
Regardless, I love him.
Yes.
He's fantastic. But no, it's a very interesting show. I don't think the Captain Pike episode would have drawn me in. In my opinion, I personally found it very boring, but that is just my opinion on it.
Yeah.
The other one, however, the Man Trap, I feel like I would have enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it live because, again, so much happened in it. It actually drew you in because you're like, what is going on with this woman?
Yeah.
Nancy, what are you doing?
Exactly. Like, who is this Nancy and what does she want? I actually liked parts of the original unaired pilot. Like I said, like I said before, it started off very slow, but once you were introduced to the aliens at Deviva, I was starting to understand like what this show is trying to do, and I did find that enjoyable. But pacing wise, it could have been a lot better, and I'm kind of just imagine if they didn't give it a second chance.
I know. It's very strange to think.
Because back then, that was a rare thing. Like, because obviously you have to remember there wasn't streaming. There was like pretty much only cable television at the time, and if your show didn't get picked up, that was it. Like, it was not gonna happen. So the fact that they were just like I could just imagine the NBC execs being like, "This shit is too smart," and then you have one just being like, "Hold up, let them cook," and they did, and they cooked, and then obviously we know what happens next.
I will also think that that I enjoyed the pilot enough to be able to. I thought that I knew what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a movie in itself. It was very much like Forbidden Planet-esque, where they're like science fiction at its whole. But they really humanized it in the original in the second pilot because they gave them banter, they gave them personality. That's the thing. I felt like Chris Pike didn't have much of a personality in that version, at least.
Yeah, it seemed very like every other like sci-fi character from before. Just like very like
it was very much like he is the captain, and then like Spock, who again they did not name, was just an alien. Didn't say what kind of alien. It was just clearly that he didn't even have his bangs.
He didn't have his bangs.
Like he clearly was just meant to be like an alien character. See, look, we have all different types of characters.
Yeah.
But then in the first official episode, they gave it personality. They gave you Captain Kirk, who we're still growing on. They're still trying to figure him out. We're only 16 episodes in as of right now, but they're really making it very clear that like he has something going on. Like he's more than just a pretty boy. Like he is like a very good captain. He's very well respected. a far cry from the Chris Pine version, but we'll get to that. He and Kirk, he and Spock get along really well. A far cry from the Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto one. We will get to it. I also want to specify that I love the 2009 movie. I believe it or not, my comments come from a place of love. It's a lot. When we talk about being fangirls, it's because this was pre-fangirl Emilee watching it, and she didn't know how to process it properly. So we'll be processing it in a few weeks.
I just remember when the 2009 movie came out. You were still in high school. I think I was starting community college, and I remember everyone talking about it. And I'm like, the show from the 60s, people are still talking about it. But yeah, clearly they are. Look at us, 2024. Who'd have thought?
Believe it or not, me and her became friends because of Star Trek. Because the first time, so we had a joint friend. Her name was Anna.
Yes.
Shout out to Anna. The first time Anna and I ever hung out was to see Star Trek.
That's right.
Now, Ellen and I didn't meet through Anna. We met separately, but we became friends because we both realized she was friends with Anna, I was friends with Anna.
Yeah.
And we just decided, like, oh, we share a friend, we should be friends. And then we saw Twilight together, and that's another big thing.
That's going to be another episode.
Yeah, that'll be another episode.
For the future, because I have a lot to say about that one.
But yeah, believe it or not, Star Trek is a part of the reason why we are friends, so it's all coming around.
Never thought of it that way,
around.
so that was just mind-blowing for me.
Town.
Bring it around town.
But do you have any other thoughts on the first episode?
No, I think like you said, like it had a lot more for it, and it had more characters, more banter, which I love. I love funny moments in a serious
show. It was also
show.
very odd because there was a lot happening. So like again, you go from like being in like the captive area, going to like the medieval times, going to this. So there was a lot of sets, but it always felt like a set in the original pilot.
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but it did. It felt like a set. While the other pilot, obviously it was clearly a set, but like it felt more like everybody felt comfortable where they were.
Yes.
When you are on like the Enterprise, you see him like Captain Kirk in his captain chair. You see like Scotty's where he's supposed to be, Sulu's where he's supposed to be, Spock is just walking back and forth because they won't give him a chair. Like everybody feels it's true. Everybody feels comfortable where they are. While in the pilot, because they didn't really have an idea of what they wanted yet, everybody was just standing there.
Yeah, just like that reminds me in the Unearthed pilot. I don't know who was doing the sound, but there was a sound that absolutely floored me. Whenever the aliens would come out,
oh my
these
god, the
doors.
door.
You know how usually those kind of electric doors, you would hear just like a. No, instead you get like a.
We will. We're gonna put the sound of it right here. That's the sound of the door. We'll edit that in so you can hear what the door is.
I was like, what? I was like, that's not how doors are supposed to sound.
It was very funny.
Like,
and
that was
also,
a choice.
the aliens very much felt like the professor from Sky High. Because they had the big alien
big
head,
ass
and
head.
Like, the way they talked, it was very much like
just
this.
yes, exactly. Like, regrettably, I have made boom boom.
That's what that was. I want to know if that was inspired by them.
I had to be. Oh, I definitely think that's the thing. I think there's a lot of like nerdy media out there that is inspired by Star Trek, whether intentional or not. You can't really avoid it, so I would not be surprised.
Now, do you think, based off of the 2 episodes, do you understand why Trekkies liked it? Because personally, I understand on the intellectual side where I'm like, okay, these really nerdy, smart guys and girls, they, thems in the 60s, I understand why they would like it, but I haven't found the niche of it yet. Because we're only halfway through the first season.
Yeah.
I know I'll get there because they're sprinkling in reasons as to why people love these characters. I just haven't picked up on it yet, but that's just me.
I think probably because I believe this was the first TV show that had sci-fi elements.
Yeah.
Before that, you had movies, but a lot of these movies, I think, were very like kind of campy.
Yeah.
And just borderline silly. Like Plan 9 from Outer Space is known to be one of their most infamous, terrible movies ever. So I think it was the fact that this guy who created Star Trek was inspired by sci-fi, but wanted to add like nuance and like actual like character development to it. And I think that's why these Trekkies kind of identify with the characters.
Yeah.
Because they don't just come off as like Pike did in the Unaired Pilot,
Yeah.
like very like this is what we're gonna do. Like they had
like
thoughts.
everybody wanted to be Captain Kirk because he was extremely smart and he was handsome and he got all these women and most likely men.
And he had charm and he had just a way with like talking to you.
Like, and then you have Leonard McCoy, who was like very gruff, like he's the older of the group, like he clearly doesn't want to deal with these people, but like he's so smart and he's there, and Spock's there. Leonard McCoy, I know you're dead, but call me. But like even Leonard McCoy, who again, Spock is supposed to be like half Vulcan. He's not supposed to show any emotion. He's not supposed he's always supposed to put logic first, and like. He's so likable because he doesn't get he has he's nothing but common sense, so he doesn't get jokes. So like you'll tell a joke and he's like, why would they do that?
Yeah,
like and it makes sense.
And I feel like there are Trekkies out there that have that same personality without realizing it. So they're like, oh my god, finally someone gets me, and then it's this freaking Vulcan with the ears
and the eyeshadow.
Yeah,
let Spock wear makeup. Don't be scared anymore. It's 2024.
Yeah. Let them wear makeup.
Let them wear makeup.
Damn. Like, seriously.
And let him wear a different freaking uniform. My man in the blue shirt every single... Freaking Captain Kirk has had 15 wardrobe changes in 15 episodes.
Well, that's because someone's always ripping his goddamn shirt off.
Yeah, he's been shirtless twice already.
It's like, we get it. You're hot. Thank God you're hot. Why do you even wear a shirt?
But yes. Anything else you want to add for the first 2 episodes?
Oh God. Surprisingly, one was not gay enough, and the second one was a little bit gay, but could have been a little more gay.
Yes, we will eventually get onto the homoeroticism that is Star Trek, because on top of people just being big fans of them, it's very clear that the fandom always thought that like 2 specific characters were meant to be together. And it makes sense. It does. Not as much. Not yet. Give it time. But like,
give it time.
It's lingering.
It's getting
thoughts
there.
Are lingering.
It's getting
the Mike Love fingers of lingering emotions.
You did not just reference Mike Love.
I did.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I am ashamed.
Out of all of the Beach Boys, that's the one.
Yep. And with that, we shall leave you.
Yes.
We are girls. We are fans.
And we are fangirls. And make sure to thank your local fangirl, because most likely the thing that you love that's popular is because of her.
Bye.
Bye.
We can't stop, and we won't stop. Don't you know that we are proud of our lives, even though you might think we're wasting our time? Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. All right, are we good? Starfish, get in the shot. Okay, don't break the couch. We just paid it off. We officially own this couch. Don't break it.
Gotta make sure you don't break the couch.
If you break, you would break the couch over this.